Welcome to the Independent Producers Organization program. This is the program that showcases independent producers, their productions, and provides a forum for discussing issues which affect independent television producers here in the Pacific Northwest.
Independent Producers Live Showcase. And today our special guest is my co-host.
How about that?
That's here all the time.
Oh, wow.
But I mentioned that I had a news item that I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, my son lives in Santa Rosa, California. Last night I looked at entire blocks of homes that were leveled by the fire. At this point, he had to evacuate from his house, but he apparently lives on the other side of the fire in the city. He lives in another area, shall we say a luckier area. And he had to put he has 3 dogs and several cats, and they had to put them in both their vehicles and drive down and into a parking lot and just stay there for a while. But fortunately, my son happens to be a Marine, and he has gone to the veterans, the place that they have there. What do you call the place where everybody goes to get away from all the problems that they have? The
barracks or something?
No, like right here in town where people go to when there's flooding and all that kind of thing. That's the kind of place
shelters. It's kind of a shelter. Yeah,
okay,
shelters.
so
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like a shelter.
Okay.
And I certainly don't envy him because
Wow.
he practically has to sleep sitting up in the car and trying to control the dogs and all the animals that he has. But as long as his house and he are okay, we're just on pins and needles to worry about that and hope that he's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, we have a lot to talk about to do with you, and so maybe you can go ahead and start even talking about
Well,
this.
that's a good start in all due respect. When you start thinking about veterans, you know what I mean? I've been spending quite a bit of time trying to see what can we do more for veterans, if you will.
Oh, sure.
And
That's right.
and I think the public is now aware that veterans are there. They're sort of getting more involved in the history and the rationale and the reasoning for having, if you will, an armed forces maybe, and then the sufferings that come after with the fact that the folks who are impacted. A lot of times we tend to want to react and say, okay, fine, we're out waving the flags and they're getting on the ships and whatever and the planes and going to war.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after that is just quote, they're hearing things about the great things that they're doing over there. You may see some shots on the newsreels, if you will, about the war and things of that nature. You see people being shot and just warlike kind of a situation. But after that's done, then all of a sudden, no one really pays attention too much about what happened. What about those troops?
That's right.
What about when they come home? Kind of a situation.
That's right.
And you don't see that many movies. You see the John Wayne, like I said, you see the fightings and this, that, and the other. And even there are movies, if you will, of the fight. But you don't see what happens once they get home. And
that's right.
They're not familiar with the homelessness. And just like your son, like you were saying about your son, he's a former Marine, if you will, and he goes to a shelter aspect of it. But at the same time, he too may have issues. You got me?
Yeah.
So where does he go? So the thing is now I think there's an effort now, and especially to reach out to those individuals who have fought the wars, if you will.
That's right.
So that we can all survive and we can live the kind of lifestyle we live in these United States. Okay.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm saying the organization that I've got says no veteran left behind. And I'm saying in Oregon,
That's right.
And the whole idea is to kind of maybe broaden that deal and spend a little bit more time trying to identify with those veterans, those individuals, men and women both, who have enlisted or maybe were drafted at some point in time or whatever, and spent that time in those war days, but now are here and struggling to try to get back into life you know, and the mental illness aspect of it is huge, if you will. Trying to get adjusted back to this lifestyle, when all of a sudden, you know, one day you're in the National Guard, just spending weekends and duty type routine on a monthly basis, and doing the National Guard thing, and then all of a sudden there's war, and then all of a sudden the next thing you know, you're gone. You're gone.
Right.
Family's left, your job's gone, right? Your job's gone, and things of that nature. So I think it's, and then naturally the availability in terms of support, the people reacted, but you know, when you start thinking about an organized reaction, that's the thing. I mean, 'cause I can still remember, and I'm going all over again. I hope you don't mind my doing this, but again, for instance, in my particular case, in Vietnam, when we came back from overseas, they were protesting.
That's right.
Right there in the airport. I can still remember that in Los Angeles when I came into town. And I take it you also, Rich, were former military.
Right.
And you saw some of those situations.
Yeah, I saw that.
You see
That
what
was
I'm saying?
later, but
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
I was aware of it.
Right. And I'm just saying, and then now all of a sudden, how do they adjust? And families are gone, you know what I'm saying? And then a lot of them tend to fall into the alcohol situation, you know, that's a way of the alcohol situation, and sometimes drugs, because that was kind of like relevant and present when even I was in Vietnam up there in the mountain district. That was there.
Always a problem.
Always a problem. So now I'm saying, and I'm going back and forth, but the bottom line is that now we need to spend. We've got a lot of folks like this right now. I mean, we're living in a society that's moving pretty fast. We got the baby boomers who've had their kids. Got me?
Yeah.
And they're not in that. We're not in a warlike situation. We talk about war because, in all due respect, we have military, we have reserves and things of that nature. We talk about war, but they've not been in the military. You know, as far as the drafting, there's no drafting aspect of it.
That's right.
And so we don't teach that history in the classroom like we used to. You got me? And so there we are, you know, and so for whatever reason, there was a segment that reached out to veterans and through the VA.
Okay.
And before the reaching out portion came up within our ranks here in the USA, it wasn't adequate enough. It existed, the VA I'm thinking about. A lot of people just resented about even going to the VA. Just standing in line like we normally would do when we're in the military, standing in line, you know, and waiting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually you get taken care of, but still, it was kind of a frustration, especially on the enlisted side, get me?
Okay.
In the military. And so now we're out, and then we're still being subjected to that same thing, and a lot of guys, and especially the guys, they resented that, you know what I'm saying? And so a lot of them didn't go to the VA. And the VA wasn't, you know, remember the long lines? They talked about the long lines and not getting the services and things of that nature. And it's a fact. The other thing is that, especially on the medical side, many universities, if you will, individuals that are pursuing a medical career, this, that, and the other, they would use the VA.
Okay.
In many ways, and from the stand, I don't want to call us guinea pigs or something of that nature, but my point is that a lot of experimental stuff and this, that, and the other went through the VA.
Oh.
Yeah, it went through the VA, just like they've done, in all due respect, when a person is incarcerated in the institutions. You know what I mean? They'll go through that, do some of that kind of stuff, whether it be whatever, blood or this, that, and the other. There was a group of guys that they use. And I'm thinking about the incarcerated one. But the VA was kind of like the same thing. In fact, they use some of that today, for that matter.
Oh.
But a lot of the services now, reaching out, again, because of the public, are reaching out and saying, what can we do to help these guys out? What can we do to help these men and women who've gone through these wars, especially the latest of wars, the veterans, the VA, the Vietnam War?
That's very difficult.
Yes,
for a lot of them.
Vietnam War. And sort of as a reminder, then you got the new ones, was the Iraqi wars and all this, that, and the other. Remember, we went through that piece aspect of it, and those are some major reminders. And then there's a resentment. Then there was the threat of maybe we might come back with the draft. And then you got another segment of folks who are saying, wait, I don't want to go there. The
Okay.
anti-war kind of young person mindset, got me? And then you got the person who's already gone through this process that's sort of fighting this thing called PTSD, post-traumatic stress. It's mental illness. It's a mental illness kind of a concept aspect of it. So I'm saying that we've got many services now that are available to the VA.
Okay.
And then you've got many individuals from an economic standpoint, and I'm saying economic standpoint, but folks who are saying that they're caring about the vets and they are reaching out to, in so many words, and forming organizations outside of the VA.
Yeah.
Outside
right,
of the VA, saying, well, okay, fine, they need this service, they're not doing this over here in the VA, so guess we're going to go on and put this organization and reach out to vets. And, you know, we've seen a number of those. A number of those gets advertised on commercial TV across the board, either giving houses away, or maybe doing some stuff like getting out recreational wise, and you just go on and on. There are all sorts of things. But the bottom line is that, as far as I see it, there's need to be some sort of an organizational, whether it be a committee or something of that nature, where you've got folks that are sitting around that table trying to figure out what are the needs of all these individuals. You know,
Right.
okay, we have a housing situation. Okay, fine. As far as vets are concerned, what are the needs? How do we relate? How do we get them into that arena for providing housing?
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
To get them more involved.
Get them more and more involved in all kinds of goodies. You know what I'm saying? You got me?
When they left, it was like this,
Yeah.
like X.
Yeah,
But when they came back,
yeah.
it was
They couldn't
different.
even. Many they couldn't go back to that same job because they'd been replaced. Obviously, because they're over here, and you got the business over here, and they still have to replace that person, right, to keep their business
That's
going. And
still in effect.
That's still in effect in many ways. And so, I can still remember that when I got out, I remember getting involved with an organization of former military, and we'd meet on a monthly basis. And the whole purpose of meeting was meeting with the corporate community to lobby them to hire folks who participated in the on those wars, you know,
Yeah.
the latest wars, to give them the opportunity to come back. Got me?
Okay.
And then at the same time, we were also lobbying to see whether or not we can maybe put some policy in place that guarantees them that gets the job. But the argument was, I've got a person over here that is great, but he's going to be gone for a year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
You got me? And I've got a business I'm running,
That's right.
and that person's got to do this, you know, because that's a necessary entity within the chain of my being able to produce this widget.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden, I've trained this person, and you've got this person who's coming back,
That's
wants the
right.
job back.
Right.
Okay, and then what do? So then maybe the only offer you may have is that, and I've been talking to these guys as we were sitting around the table. Well, if I'm able to expand, that's fine.
Okay.
If I don't expand, I may have to put him down over here. There might be something lower than what he was working at one point in time. The only available thing, let's say, is a truck driver or this or that.
I've never thought that much about all the details
Yes.
to do with that.
Yes. So that's some pretty heavy stuff.
Right.
So how do
Right.
you fix those kinds of things? And then while they're going through that whole process of trying to get back into society, so to speak, I mean, I'm waiting. I'm trying to figure out what to do, but then the life goes on. I've left the family, so how do I go back into the home and provide as the main provider, right? Got
Right,
me?
right.
And then I'm having all of these memories, if you will, and thoughts about my participation in that war,
That's right.
and doing things that in many ways they didn't like doing. Got me? And picking up other skills that ordinarily you don't want to even want to relate to. Got me?
That's right.
And but when we go in, when you look at it overall, it's a MOS, right? Military Occupational Skills.
Okay.
MOS. Everybody had a job,
Right.
or better yet, everybody had a task to do.
Okay.
It's different than just having a job, right?
Okay.
See, you're there for a certain period of time. Richard, I've looked at your score, and you're going to do this based on your score. That's it.
Okay.
That's your task.
All right.
You report to company A or company B,
That's right.
and they're waiting for you to do this, and then you OJT that.
Okay.
But realistically, you're an infantryman. You know what I'm saying?
All
But
right.
this is your task, not a job. Because a job, in my estimation, is that you got a job, but you've got futures with that too. You're learning and and you're being promoted, and you're going through the ranks. Got me?
Right.
But this is not a permanent situation. We're not in this military, because this is not a permanent thing. So consequently, that's different than in the civilian life aspect of it. You get on a job, you apply for the job, and then they assign you to this job based on the need, right?
Right.
And then you develop. You're building the company.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's right.
So there's all kinds of. So my point is that there's a number of things that's on the table even to this day, and then
Yeah.
you start thinking about what am I talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is that right in our city, right here in the city of Portland, we got a homeless issue.
Right.
We got a homeless issue.
Right.
Well, the vets is still a part of that process. A lot of them, you don't see as many today. I mean, sure, the VA is reaching out. They've got some housing,
Yeah. They
but temporary housing.
they can do what they can do.
They can do what they can do. Right,
Right.
right. And it's kind of a temporary house kind of. And then if you understand the system, you can get into the system, but you got to go through a process.
Right.
You got me?
Okay.
See what I'm saying? But so there's still a need, if you will, to identify with that vet and make sure that that vet is given the opportunity because of what he's done over here.
Yeah. That's
He
right.
or she, give them the opportunity to be here. And so they're reacting in the same way. And so we still need housing.
Okay.
Still need housing. And in many ways, many of those individuals who, like I said, they left their family environment and they left the home ownership.
Okay. Right.
But they're coming back, in all due respect, it's really just a temporary housing. They want to get back home. See, you see what I'm saying? They want to get back home, to get back in that home ownership kind of a mindset. That, because that's basically what all of us are all about, home ownership.
Some of them were probably even trying to go to school,
Yeah, yeah,
and that gets interrupted.
yes.
That's right.
And that's available. See, now that's available. Beforehand, the GI Bill would basically say, okay, fine, you serve a certain amount of time, and then you can come back and apply, and there would be a commitment from the military that you can go to school for a certain period of time, and then once you've used that time, that's it. Unless if not that, you can still go through retirement, try retiring in the military, and you
Okay.
can still go to school. You get my point? But when you get out, if you've done say a year or 2 years or this, that, and the other, they'll say, okay, fine. Here's your blanket time that you can go to school, and you've got this much time. At the end of this cycle, if you haven't used it, you lose it. You get me? But things have changed today. They got a situation now. If you served, and if you honorably served, and that honorably serve is a DD 214. You got me? A DD 214.
In other words, they're trying a little harder.
They're trying a little harder right now.
That's
They're
right.
saying, okay, fine, and if you want to go back to school, you can go back to school. If you've been out 5 years or 10 years or whatever, and you figure that, well, gee, I want to go back to school, you can go back to school today.
Okay.
You can go back to school. And it's the OJT type stuff, but it's a job. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
They classify that as a job aspect of it.
Right.
And the benefits are great. The benefits are great. If you want to go back to college, you can go back to college, and in some cases they'll give you a computer, because that's the communication situation nowadays
Okay.
in our education system aspect of it. And you can actually go back and pick up a bachelor's degree. Even if you didn't go to college before, you can go back and go to school and pick up your degree.
Okay.
In some cases, if you were pursuing an education when you were before you got into service or something, even a long time ago, you can go back and finish that and go for your master's if you want to.
Oh.
You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? And that's available.
Okay. Right.
That's available. Those are some of the
We're
benefits.
telling everybody.
Yeah, those are some of the benefits that are sitting up there. All you have to do, in all due respect, is go to the VA, and or you can call the VA, and they've got a universal number that you can just call.
Oh, yeah.
Just call up or Google the VA. You can Google the VA, and there's a one number, and then there's someone on the end of that line that all you have to do is tell them who you are, give them your last four, And if
yeah.
you're in the system, you're in the system.
They'll ask you your birthday.
Your birthday. They get your birthday. But that getting that system is that DD 214,
Right.
and that last four is really the last four of your Social Security number.
Right.
Beforehand, you
Oh,
used to,
yeah, that's
beforehand, remember you used to have your ID number. I still remember mine, 1983524.
Really? Oh,
It's
okay.
like drilled in your head, you know, so to speak. But now it's easy. It's your Social Security number. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you live with. You know, now you're back. It's kind of like saying you're back into service, but now all of a sudden you're taking advantage of the services that are available to you to get back into society.
Right. Right.
And that's a very important piece. And everything's there. And once you've gone through that process, if you need medical, if you need medication,
Yeah.
all those services are there. And you'll be assigned a doctor or doctoress. I mean, for men and women both. If you've got issues with alcohol, it's sitting there. They'll take you through that particular class. If you're older fellas, like you and I, for that matter, they've got a class called 45 that was during the Korean War,
Oh.
World War II, but anyways, but my point is that you're familiar with the AA. Remember those AA groups that they have, Alcohol Anonymous type
Oh
of
yeah,
things?
I certainly know about that.
Well, it's comparable to it, but it's all military.
Oh,
Because a lot of times, you know, in those AA groups, you're all a lot of times you're asked to communicate and talk about your alcoholism and how you got into it. That's part of that therapy piece of getting back or getting off of alcohol.
okay.
But in the military, you've got all military folks. A lot of guys, men and women both, have memories of one of the reasons that got them into the alcohol arena is because of the situation that they experienced when they were in these wars,
Okay.
or in those kind of areas, and so they feel more comfortable talking about those issues. And by talking about those issues, that's another way, if you will, of getting out of the alcohol and or
Yeah.
opioids, if you will, of the drugs. That's
Talking.
the talking aspect of it. And
Right.
so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's
right.
a real good thing aspect of it. So that's another very important piece. And you got all kinds of activities that you can get involved in. Whether if you're interested in fishing, I mean, I'm just
Really?
taking a thing. If you're interested in fishing and you want to learn how to tie these flies, if you will, you know, these flies and whatever, they got guys down there that can tie. Nowadays we're tying with blindfolded. I mean,
Okay.
but they've got something to do. They're taking out those little things that they normally do around the house,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bringing them in over here and making fellowship with other vets, if
Yeah.
you will. You know, that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat deal. You know my point?
Right.
But
right.
I'm spending time, but there's a lot of things. But then going outside of that, you got a lot of organizations that are not part of the VA. They basically, hey, they just set up shop and says, okay, fine, I think there's a need for this for veterans, and I'm in business.
Okay.
You got me? And I think that's good to a certain degree. But how
Long
does
as
it
it's up and up?
up and does it fit the big picture?
Right. Right.
The big picture is that you got this guy, you want to get this man, male or female, back in society,
right.
back with their family.
Okay.
Got me? Back with the floor thing. You got me? Because as you know, in this world, if you're not in the floor thing, it can be very, very hard on you. You got me?
Just need to. Yeah.
You know, and you could be sitting down there now, like here we are experiencing in the city of Portland, throughout the state, throughout the country, for that matter, and it's called homelessness.
Oh yeah. Right.
And they call it homelessness aspect of it. You see what I'm saying? No, the fact of the matter is that you're out there. I mean, it's more than just homelessness. You got people don't tend to understand what all these other pieces are involved in the process. Got me?
Right.
But a vet in that segment does have a shot to get out of that arena.
Okay.
Okay, and so the other thing is that how do you get these other entities outside? And we open doors, open. Anybody got any ideas about helping this guy, even veterans? Even if you're non-veterans, you can put together an organization where you're reaching out to vets. Got me?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, what I see, now this is just my own opinion, what I see at the end of the day is that I want those entities that can contribute to the well-being of vets across the board
Okay.
towards that goal of getting back in society and being able to work and family, this, that, and the other. The thought is they'd be part of the VA. They'd be a legitimate part of the big picture.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So you just take that organization and move it right into the VA. See?
All right.
You see? And I think that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like saying, so in other words, if you want to do something for vets and you're outside of the system, if you got to put a better Twidget than they have over here, then guess what? Share it.
Right.
And then
okay.
they pick it up. And then you can go with it.
Okay.
Because the whole idea is that people are volunteering initially about, I want to do something for vet. To me, that's called volunteering, right?
Okay.
You're
right.
reaching out to the vet, right?
No,
so
that's
it's
right.
not, quote, putting a manufacturing plant together or putting a business together, per
Right.
se. It's volunteering to reach out to vets that you feel you could do a better job, blah, 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 or whatever. Okay, fine. But I think that is not the future into the VA. This is my opinion, as I see it. The future in the VA, as far as folks outside of the system, is to get into the system. And then that adds to the picture, and not being redundant, of bettering the veteran situation, of getting to that goal where they're self-efficient, like I said before, they're very family-oriented, and they're very community-oriented, all that other good stuff before they left to go to war, right?
Yeah.
See, so that's kind of like where my main thing is from the standpoint of what I'm doing.
Right.
See, so this is kind of the same thing. This is kind of like an opinion of mine. It says no veterans left behind in Oregon, and as you know, as it indicated, this is basically an organization, a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit organization, and is dedicated to supporting all veterans. And there are 4 different areas that this talks to, and is assisting in pursuing and attaining benefits. So that if you're a vet with a 214 legitimately wise, and there are many benefits. Senior home visits, okay, outreach, because many vets are in these homes, because people do retire, and at some point in time you got to go to one of those homes, or you stay at home, right? You got me?
Yeah.
And a lot of times these vets have benefits and they don't know about them, and a lot of times these facilities are not equipped or have the knowledge to know what to do with the process.
And they can't put it on the front page of the paper.
You can't put it on the front
Right.
page of the paper.
The veteran has to go try to find out.
Exactly.
Himself.
So in this particular case, the idea was to visit these senior citizen homes. These aging seniors, if you will. Got me?
Okay.
Whether it be home or whatever, but in these facilities, the idea is to provide them with the knowledge and the information to know about the benefits that they might have missed, and let them know that they can use those facilities of the VA.
Right.
Get me? In addition to. And then providing a platform to address no veteran left behind Oregon support once a month. Okay, and then focus on vetting existing organizations that offer veterans, just like we were talking about before. The plan was to go out and I want to visit these organizations, and support them, from the standpoint,
Yeah. Okay.
and then make them aware they too could be more now, as opposed to being just a volunteer, if you will, they can actually be a part of the VA. You got me?
Okay.
On the big picture. And I think it makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, it's part of the system and it's duplicated throughout the system, if you will. You got me? It's not just one entity here and then maybe one entity up in New York, but there's a need over here in Michigan or something like that. But make it part of the system. Got me?
Okay.
Because the
Okay.
whole plan is to get that person back into, refit them, if you will, or rehab them so they can go
Yeah.
right back where they started from.
Mentally back in.
Mentally back into the
Sure.
system. And the other thing, Richard, I would say to you is that, as you know, both of us, we've been doing this kind of outreaching here at Cable here,
Yeah.
communicating
That's
and
right.
whatever. That's basically what we're doing, really, as volunteers, and we're trying to communicate to the public
That's right.
and making them aware of what we know
Mm-hmm.
by interviewing guests, this, that, and the other. So the idea is, as I structured it so that it fits me in terms of what I'm doing. Just like we're doing here now. Yes,
Okay.
I've got a talk show, Voters Digest aspect of it, but because of that involvement and whatever and timing or whatever, I figured it fit me. And then because I'm a vet, I'm a vet, if you will.
Yeah.
I was in the Marine Corps, and I've done my Vietnam, I did my piece, I spent my time, etc. And I feel comfortable because I too need to, if you will, to be a part of this whole process aspect of it, because I'm having issues on the same side. But I'm thinking that by doing it that way, I'm not really looking for a job, if you will.
Okay.
I'm just basically sharing my wisdom and making it part of what I'm doing. Got me?
Okay.
And then so consequently, once a month on my show, Oregon Voters Digest, because I do 4 shows a month,
Okay.
I'm going to dedicate one show a month to this organization by interviewing, bringing folks on, whether it be with the VA or folks outside of the VA, and to educate the public about their awareness and make them aware.
Okay, we should say Oregon Voters Digest at what time on Sunday?
This is on 4 o'clock. At 4
4
o'clock
every,
on Sunday.
every Sunday at 4 o'clock.
And I'll pick up either the second Sunday of the month, or something like that. I'm thinking about like I said, the second Sunday, and whatever makes it easy. But I will be making that announcement on my show again, specifically, and I'll be getting it out hopefully through some kind of advertisement through the network here and on this show like that, and say, okay, fine.
Okay.
This show will be on an ongoing basis. Let's say on the second Sunday of the month at 4 o'clock, like that.
Okay,
And
right.
It'll be on YouTube, YouTube.
Oh,
And then that will be on the network. And then that's the other issue about making sure trying to really get out to the vets and learn the other organization the same thing,
okay.
because YouTube is universal, right?
Yeah,
You don't
sure
necessarily need
is.
to have. You don't need to have you have to pay the cable network. Excuse the French, whether it be the commercial networks, right? And the commercial network, like Comcast and let's see, Comcast, and you got CNN and Comcast and the other commercial aspect.
Okay.
You got to pay for that.
All right.
And a lot of times people are, especially a lot of veterans are not in a position to pay that monthly note.
That's right. It still costs some money.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
Comcast
even if you got your own radio station, which is this,
Oh.
which is a smartphone, right? But you
Okay.
still have to pay for that, and you
All
still
right.
got to pay a monthly payment. Maybe not as much, if you will, but you can get your shows right here on this smartphone right here. All you do is just Google it and say, "Oh, Oregon Voters Digest," and Bruce Broussard, and you'll see it. See, and then they can do this anytime they want to.
You can pick that up in
Yes.
your show there.
Yes, you can
Okay.
pick up. You just Google it. Just hit the old. You got to learn how the apps and all that stuff work aspect of it.
Okay.
But hopefully, senior citizen centers will consider understanding what that's all about, and at least making a screen available, and maybe a timely one, where once they've identified the vets in that respective organization, they will say, okay, fine, we're now going to have lunch with the veterans, for the veterans, and we're going to have the video shown, the information shown
Okay.
about the VA and VA or outside the VA. In my particular case, I'm going to be doing both. But again, I may be able to get maybe a senior citizen center to consider doing something during lunch hour, for vets.
You're referring to the one in Hollywood also?
All over. Yeah, all over.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that'd
yeah.
be an example
Yeah,
of one.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. See, and the county now has that responsibility of reaching out to the
Yeah.
aging, right? The aging. Sometimes,
Sure.
and I've contacted them, and it's like anything else, they're not aware. I mean, in many ways, and so I hope to bring that home to them too, from the county standpoint, because like I say, the baby boomers are going to be getting older, and we're going to have a lot of folks that are going to really be left behind if we don't
Yeah.
do something about this stuff.
Okay.
So that's a block of folks, and then folks that are not veterans, they can also by veterans being involved, because they'll be able to have those benefits aspect, they'll put pressure on the public entity, the government entity, to do something comparable to the folks who are getting it. You see?
Okay.
You got an entity here that's providing a service. They're not they can't avail themselves of that service because they weren't veterans, right? But at the same time, that to me, that's a lot of pressure on them to say, wait a minute. Sometimes I say, well, gee whiz, why can't I get this? Well, okay, fine. Maybe there's a need, if you will, from the public standpoint, the general public. We need to have this here. Well, okay, fine. It already exists over here.
Okay.
So why don't we put something together that will still be able to do what they're doing?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? See?
Okay.
So that's another very important piece that I want to make sure that the folks know. And then the other thing I was going to share, that piece right here. This is another organization. This is something else that I'm looking at wanting to do.
Got it.
You got it? You got that, Tim? That flyer that I had with Oxford Suite. Can you put that on there for us? Yeah, the Oxford Suite aspect of it. This is a facility. This is a hotel, the Oxford Suite up here in Jansen Beach, and they're putting on
Okay.
a Veterans Appreciation Reception on November the 9th, Thursday, November the 9th, from 3:30 to 7 p.m. And I think he's getting it on there right now, and he's going to be putting that piece on there. But the whole idea is that veterans will be meeting over there, and
That'd be good.
Yeah, just having being able, and each one of them have the opportunity to share their thoughts and feelings and whatever, and they give prizes out. Yeah, there we go, right there. They give prizes out right there. But please, and all you have to do is register. Just give them a call. That's the other thing you have to do. We're asking you to give them a call so they'll know just how many hors d'oeuvres, how much food they need to go on and purchase to make sure that they'll get enough food there. And also prizes. They give you a lot of prizes and whatever, prize drawing, and you'd be surprised at some of the goodies. And they'll have good prizes, like military type stuff, the cups and other caps, and they'll give all kinds of benefits like massages and all kinds of stuff. They got all kinds of. So it's really a nice camaraderie-ship kind of a thing where you can meet a lot of folks and whatever. And so I want to thank the Oxford Suite for doing something like that. And hopefully we're going to be probably approaching other entities like the Oxford Suites, or the hotels, or any other facilities, whether it be Denny's or whomever, to basically see if they can reach out to vets. And well, thank you. That's that part of it. And then along that same line, many organizations and entities that offers, if you will, discounts on a lot of things.
They might,
food
sure.
and whatever. Well, you got all of them. All of your biggies, your biggie fast food organizations. You got a number of them. The small ones can't as much, but a lot of times they will. And we're going to encourage the small business person too, because it's still business. You got me? And a lot of times, most of these people are pretty standard, 10%. Sometimes 10%. Sometimes they get excited. Sometimes, and maybe a one-time deal, maybe 20%. But it's It's just an outreach and appreciation and reaching out to vets. And that's another thing that I plan to do, and going around and asking folks to sign up. And maybe I can put a sticker in the window saying that's another way of recognizing it. Put a sticker in the window, right? Because a lot of times people do that, right? They'll put the, we've got the best food in town or something like that. But whatever, put down there, we're reaching out to vets. Thanks for serving. Okay, come in here. We'll give you a 10% discount, 15%. I'm always asking for 20.
Some places do that.
Yeah, some of them do 20% sometimes. Yeah. So and the bigger option, and then you can just ask, and sometimes, in all due respect, be proud about the fact that you served your country and et cetera, and you can wear gear like me. Wear your cover. You know what I mean? And you can pick those up. And that was another thing. There's always a little, if you're a vet, there's a little PX. And a little PX, a little store, Post Exchange, right? Remember that one?
Yes.
The Post Exchange, we call it the PX. And you go in there and
I never thought it was just super, but it was
nice.
right.
But it was something there. It was something there, you know what I mean? And you can pick memorabilia, whether you're in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Marine Corps. You can pick paraphernalia there. And it just kind of makes you feel a little good sometimes.
Right, and it's over in Vancouver.
Get Vancouver, and then you can pick one on the hill too.
Okay.
Here in the Portland area, on
That's
the top of the hill over there by the medical centers over there.
Full service.
Yeah, full service over there too. See what I'm saying? And you can they got buses, and if you can't drive, you can call depending upon your situation.
That's right.
They'll pick you up at home. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are happening here for the vets, and I want to be part of reaching out. I really want to be part of that.
You're doing it.
I'm helping out. See what I'm saying? And Richard, you're a vet. I want to make sure that folks know that Richard's a vet, right?
Yeah.
He's a vet, and he's been having some benefits in the end of it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And taking advantage of it. And
going up on the hill has just been fantastic up there.
Yes.
Up on the hill for veterans.
Yeah, and don't be embarrassed to say it. You know what I'm saying? That you are a veteran. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You provided your service to this country, and you're deserving of that.
Yeah, that's right.
And all of us need. And I think it'd be good to wear your paraphernalia. I wear my flag. I wear my Vietnam pin and my medal. I wear the cover routine. Well, I'm a little bit now, but we're all in the same boat, right?
Okay.
And then there are organizations out there too. I might add too, with reference to what we do, and that is you've got the VA. The VFW, Veterans of Foreign War.
That's right.
So if you've been overseas anyway, and you were part of any a combat situation or whatever, or even anticipating anyone on that, you can join this organization. Again, that's another major organization. Like I said, the Veterans are formed, VFW.
Right.
And in fact, the VFW has the contract to fill out your paperwork for services. See, so meaning that when you call up that VA and say, well, look here, I want to know about your services and whatever, and they'll might hand you out material, or you can Google it. You can Google it. You can do this. VA Veteran Administration.
Okay.
General number. There's a number. You call. There's somebody on the end of the line, and you say, look, I'm a veteran. I said, okay, fine. Well, what do I need to do to get the services? And I'm located here. And where do I go?
Okay.
They'll give you that information. And in fact, you can even apply online. You can apply on the phone.
Okay.
They'll take your information from you and see what it is to make sure that you who you are. Right up front with you. They got you in the computer.
Okay.
You're in the computer. And if you go too far back, like the Civil War or something, that'd be a different ball game. But if you can prove that you got those papers, hey, you can get the services. But in most cases, you're still part of the system. You're still in the system.
Have your
And
last four.
that's right.
And
Last
your birthday, as long as you
and-
know
and
those kind
That's
of
right.
things.
And they'll send it down and they say, okay, fine. What do I do now? Pick up your card down at the VA. If you're in Portland, Oregon, you can either go to Vancouver, Washington, and or you can go on the hill over here by the medical center.
That's right.
And they'll give you a card. In fact, I got to pull it out. See, I'm reaching it right now. We got one too. Don't you have one?
I have
I
one.
know you have one. And I'm gonna pull mine out right now. Why not? Right?
I can't. My
I'm-
wallet won't.
Okay. Well,
Take that
I'm
much
gonna
stuff.
pull mine out right now. And nowadays, that's all you carry. You're just carrying a whole bunch of cards nowadays, right?
Right.
But you'll pull one out. I got one right there. It is right there. There it is right there. Let me see if he can capture this on the screen here right now. Let's see. Can you hear it? Can you see it? Okay, there you go. You got it. You got it? All right. Got Tim over there. He's in the control room, and he's really being an asset to us. He's really a heck of a guy. Okay, there you go. That's it. You got your photo on there. Got your photo on there. And if you can't see, in all due respect, they've got the scroll deal for if you're blind or this, that, and the other.
Oh.
Yeah, you can put it, the whole deal. And they put if whatever branch of service you were in, that's part of the card. And then they've got a member ID card in terms of the number of people that have gone for services. They got that number down there. Isn't that something? I mean, it's a heck of a number down there. See. And then they got your membership aspect of it, and that's your ID.
Okay.
That's your ID. And in fact, there's that number. If there are questions concerning health benefits, if you want to call this number,
That's right.
you can call that number, and I'll lay it out to you. Maybe Tim might be able to. I'll be slow enough so he can put it on the screen for us. 1-877-222-8387. Again, that's 1-877-222-8387. In fact, the last four is called VETS. 1-877-222-VETS.
Okay.
So you dial that number, and you can qualify over the phone as to whether or not you can qualify for health benefits.
Okay.
And boy, I tell you, that's a very valuable card.
All right.
And I'll give you an example of that. If
You use it.
use it, you will use this card. You know what I'm saying? For whatever purpose for that, you just show that card. You go down to the VA, and it's all there for you.
Okay.
All there. Everything is right there. But this is a valuable card. Valuable card.
Okay.
And it's a good ID card for you too. by the
That's
way.
right.
Especially when you're trying to get that 10 or 20% discount
Okay.
on a meal or paraphernalia. Anywhere you go, you show that card, and they'll give you a discount. You got to have it, by the way, or your DD 214.
Yeah.
You know, you can have your DD 214. But this is a good one. It's nice and compact, and you just put that card in there that way, and you're in good shape. You got me? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and then if you got certain kinds of, let's say for instance, and there's a ranking system too, as far as the VA. If you're a disabled vet,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, if you're a disabled vet, and if you got the right score, if you will, you can get licensing. Doesn't cost you anything. If you're driving a car, it doesn't cost you a dime for the duration of that car, as long as you're driving that car.
Oh,
Yep. If you want a fishing license, you can get a major discount.
That's right.
On
Those are-
fishing license, hunting license. There's a lot of goodies that are sitting
Okay,
there.
right.
That are benefits there for you. If you want to visit the national parks, if you will, things of that nature.
That's right.
Guess what? It doesn't cost you a dime. You just put that sticker out there on the car, and you just go right on in. It doesn't cost you a dime.
Okay.
You can do fishing. I mean, you can do a number of things. So it's there for you, and I would encourage you to do that. Just like I'm going to be doing this through this No Vets Left Behind organization,
Okay.
and hopefully every so often when I'm doing some things with Rich, maybe he might want to. Every so often we'll do something on your show too, Rich. Got me? We'll just kind of talk
yeah, we can-
to remind
we can,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that and help him out a little bit on that piece. So that's a very, very important piece.
I remember in particular, we had a couple of ladies here
Mm-hmm.
that talked about veterans committing suicide,
Mm-hmm.
how it happened. It was very interesting to hear them talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they are, but I would like to get someone like that back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as one would say, I'm glad you brought that point up. One of the other goals that I have in regards to this organization, No Vets Left Behind, is that I want to get together a directory, just a little directory,
Okay.
and meaning that these are the individuals that I've met with, I've met outside of the VA.
Okay.
The ones that are inside the VA, that's already there. With that number, right? You can just get all the listing. But these will be the ones, when I put this directory, these are the ones that I've actually went and participated with them to hear
Okay.
what they have to say, or I interviewed them, or you interviewed them.
Yeah, right.
You see, and if we find that as far as we're concerned, they're creditized, just like you were talking about, that particular group you were talking about. I want to put them in a booklet, and then
Okay.
hopefully put together a website where folks can get my website and just go right to that book and say, okay, fine, I want to do this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And these
Okay.
folks are all available here in the Portland metropolitan area or throughout the state of Oregon. And if you're a vet, you can go.
Okay.
You got me?
Right.
And you'd be surprised of what you can do with that piece.
And I know you can get shots, flu
Yeah,
shots.
you get flu shots
things
right
like
now.
that. Right.
And that's an interesting thing. I just got my flu shot. I went down to VA right there in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Pull out your card.
Okay, right.
And
right.
there it is. But now, all of a sudden, they went to private entities now. You don't have to go just to the VA.
Right.
You can go, excuse the French, you can go to Walgreens.
Walgreens,
And what's the other one?
places.
You got Walgreens. What's that other one out that's comparable to Walgreens?
Rite Aid?
Rite Aids.
Oh, yeah.
But you can go to those two entities and get your flu shot right now.
That's right.
If you're a vet, you can just go in there. It doesn't cost you a dime. And then all you have to do is report it to the VA that you got your shot.
Okay.
Because what the VA wants to know is that they want to make sure you got your shot.
That's right. And they have other kinds.
They've got other kind. Oh yeah, yeah,
LTAP or something.
right. But like I said, once you get in that system,
Yeah.
they're going to send you a card.
That's right.
They're going to send you a card to make sure you got your shot.
Okay.
And if you didn't get your shot, if you got your shot somewhere else, and even if you didn't get it at Rite Aid or whatever, they're going to still say, "Where'd you get it?"
Oh.
And then you mark it on the card and send it back to the VA. And the VA is satisfied. If they're not satisfied, they're going to keep sending you information out there
Oh,
until
okay.
you are in the system to say that you got your flu shot or these other shots.
That's right.
Very important. If you, like I say, if you have need of glasses, I've got them on right now. You know, the VA gives you those, and in fact, they check your eyes out once a year.
Oh, okay.
Once a year, and if you need another prescription, they give you a new set of glasses.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a heck of a deal. And the frames doesn't look that bad.
They're-
You know,
those
they look
were
that
great.
bad. They work real well, and et cetera. And so I just can't overemphasize that point.
That's right.
And if you got a loved one that you know for a fact was former military, you know, hey, take him to the VA. That number that I gave. In fact, I'll have Tim. There it is. That number that's sitting on the screen right
Oh,
now.
okay.
You can pick it up as a loved one or whomever. You can pick that number up, call that number, and say, my cousin or my dad or my aunt were in the military. Got
Okay.
me? And they're in a rest home. They're in a rest home. And say, okay, they'll take a name and this, that, and the other, and then find and try to see if you can get that last four, and throw it out there. And you could actually be a part and parcel of that process of getting services.
Mhm.
That can happen.
Okay.
And in fact, the VA will do it in such a fashion that if you're providing service for them and taking care of them, they'll compensate you. Not that much, but they'll compensate you. But the whole idea is they compensate you so that you can take them down to the VA and make sure that they get their bennies.
Okay.
You see, and services or whatever. So I'm glad you brought that point up. So that's a very important point. So that card, that number that you see on
The main number, I think, is 1-800-327-1000.
Right. That's the main number.
That's the main
but
number.
the health part, that's it. And they're hooked up with that too. That number.
Got to get in there with some persistence
Yes,
when you do that.
You got to. Yeah, you got to get in there. But once you get in that system, trust me, they'll contact you. And if you got problems making appointments, they're going to send you letters out.
Yeah,
to make sure
I get those.
You get those big time. You know what I mean? And they'll remind you. And then if you don't make your appointment, they'll call you. They'll contact you.
Okay.
They'll
That's
contact
right.
you. They'll contact you, and because they don't want you to miss that appointment. But besides that, they don't, because it's like anything else. If you miss the appointment, then guess what? Another vet might have been able to take that appointment, and so consequently, there's a whole closed shot there. So they're trying to accommodate for everybody as they can,
Okay.
and that's a very important piece. So please give them that call, give them that number, and as we're talking about today, hopefully this is not too redundant for you, but share this show with anybody else you know. If you can take that show and share it. Well, you're looking at it live now, but in fact, we remind them on this show just when it's going to be done, when it's going to be shown again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be shown again, right?
We're in just a few minutes.
Yeah, right. Be
Do
shown
that.
again. But the idea is that whoever the viewers are right now, if you know a loved one or anybody else that
right.
was a vet, then share it with them. Let them know that, hey, this show is going to be coming on again at such a time. Or if not that, you can give Bruce or you can give Richard a call, and in fact, you can call the studio up here. They'll tell you who we are,
Right.
and then they'll start you on the whole deal. And then again, in my particular case, I've taken many vets down to the VA, and to start them up on their, get them up there with the VFW,
Yeah.
and help them out. 'Cause don't get afraid about it. But if you need a little help, you can give me a call, and that's part of what I do. What I want to do, I will either meet you there, or if not there, I'll give you the number first. I'll give you the number and tell you, okay, fine. Oh, there's the schedule for the show then.
Oh,
Current
okay.
show time.
Okay.
Tim's already beat us up. He's taking care of us. You know that he's really taking care of us. He sounds like the
So
service.
that's next Sunday.
Yeah, that's next Sunday, right? Channel 11. 10,
That's
15?
always the best time because
This time, okay, at 11 a.m. right?
you have to remember it
Yeah.
to watch it.
Okay, cool. That's a good one. And then we're on there live now on Wednesday, and then Friday you got that Channel 22. That's a kind of interesting piece. 10 p.m. at night. So if you're at that
Okay.
late at night, you can still look at the show aspect of it. So that's a very, very, very important piece aspect of it.
When is another time or two that Oregon Voters Digest is on during the week?
Yeah, right. They're on live on Sundays from 4 to 5
Right.
on Channel 11.
Right.
Okay, and that's 4 p.m. Okay, 4 p.m. on Sundays, 4 to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And then on Tuesday,
Right.
it's on from noon.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's on
noon on Tuesday.
and that's Channel 23.
Okay.
Channel 23, Oregon Voters Digest.
When else?
And then the other one is on Fridays
Okay.
on Channel 22
Okay.
on Friday at 8 p.m.
All right.
8 p.m. And as you know, the other shows, I do a number of other things. It's basically educating you on about everything that's going on, whether it be politics, whether it be just making you aware of what the issues are around the communities and things of that nature. That's what I do at the Voters Digest, just like what we do,
Okay.
inviting guests and things of that nature. But one show a month will be dedicated to just vets,
Okay.
just to remind them about this.
Fine.
So you can always catch me one show a month. In fact, I'll make the point, it'll be the second Sunday of each month.
Okay.
The second Sunday of each month.
All right.
We're going to do that, okay? All
Good
right?
way to keep track.
Yep, get that good, okay?
Now, what do you have to sum up? Because
We about done?
couple.
We got a few more minutes. Well, like I said, I just like to remind, just put that number back on, Tim, about the who to call. You can call the VA.
I think he has it now.
Yeah, put that number back on. And in fact, like I said, you can call me. You know, because if you've got some other questions that are pressing, but this is the first call, that first number that I'm giving you, that's the call you want. That's for benefits. In most cases, the age factor, with guys that are getting in our age factor, you need that health benefit. Got me?
Okay.
That's a very important number, and the other services they will share with you. But my number is 503-701-0457.
Yeah.
Again, 503-701-0457. That's my number, and you can always give me a call, and we can chat on the phone. I'm a busy guy, but don't get frustrated. Just leave your name and your ID.
Keep trying.
And keep trying, and then I will either ask you some questions over the phone, and if you don't feel comfortable in calling the VA or going to VFW, I mean, I'll personally take you down there.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I'll personally that first visit. Sometimes that first visit is always a scare visit, but don't be. Just be that sergeant or that corporal or that captain, and you got all kinds of folks that are sitting down there. As I always would remind a lot of the folks about ranking system when we get out of the military.
Okay.
We're all 6-star generals now.
Oh, right.
Does that make sense? And we're all in the same group.
6.
Yeah, 6 stars. 6 stars. We're all the same ranks when you get out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And trust me, what I mean by that is that when you're sitting down there next to another vet, you don't know who that person may be. He may be a 1-star general, maybe a private, maybe a colonel, but we're all the same family. And it doesn't matter what branches you are, we're all there. And you'd be surprised at the camaraderie that you can make up, if you will, and reach out to other veterans. And next thing you know, you got personal friends for going fishing or whatever you want to do. So it's good therapy too, to be able to meet other folks while you're there. And always bring your wife there, by the way, when you're following especially if you're male and you want to just be get into the system. It's always good to take your wife with you.
I see a lot of wives.
Yeah, a lot of wives there. Yes, right. She doesn't have to be in the
you
service.
bet.
She can go down there with you, and if you got a loved one, they don't have a wife, you can go. It can be an aunt, cousin, or even just a friend. You can go with that person.
Okay.
And sit down with them and take them through that whole process. And whatever so it's there for you.
Okay.
And like I said, if you got any questions, you got my number, 503-701-0457, and that's you can see that on the film.
Anyway.
And you can hopefully you can put that last piece out there while we get in the last second or so. Put that appreciation reception and my card out there. No veterans left behind.
You want him to leave?
Yeah, just leave. We leave that. Yeah.
I'll put that up during the break.
And while we talk.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Sounds great. Okay.
All right.
That's it. Well, thanks, Rich. It's been great.
Yes,
Okay, so we got the next show coming on very shortly.
that's right.
Okay, good.
Okay, you're on.
You got it, Tim? Okay, here we are. Hey, I'm Bruce Broussard again, and we've got Richard Carpenter with me, Independent Producers Organization. We're right back again, folks. Boy, I tell you, we've got an exciting show tonight. I mean, this is a live show, right off the press, if you will. I shared with you the Oregonian, and in the Oregonian, in this particular article, of the Oregonian, there's on page A17. If you pick up the Oregonian tomorrow morning, it's probably right sitting.
No,
in
it's
front
this morning.
It's this morning.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
just
this
got
morning.
all messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, gee, this is so hot off the press.
It's hot off the
This
press,
is hot
Bruce.
off the press. Page A17, a plan to address Portland housing crisis together. Folks, we do have a crisis in this city.
Do we ever?
Boy, we have issues here. Boy, I tell you, we're looking for leadership. We're right in the midst of an election right now that's coming up. It's going to be big time.
So I heard about that.
Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we heard about that.
How about that?
Last time around too, didn't we? About issues and whatever. Yeah. But anyway, we're fortunate to have a gentleman that just left City Hall.
Yep.
And
Just left.
And I'm talking about Stuart Emmons.
Yeah.
Emmons, Stuart.
Yeah.
Stu's right here. I've known Stu for a while. In fact, he's been out there and actually really getting involved in community and dealing with some of the major issues that we have here in the city of Portland, and willing to help. That's a very key. He's not an activist per se, but in all due respect, we're all activists to a degree. But the fact is, right now, we need leadership, and we need to make sure we get these issues on the table so that people can address them. Because in most cases, the majority of the public isn't aware, if you will.
Yeah.
They're not aware. They don't go to these meetings, aspect of it.
Yeah.
But when the voting time comes around, all of a sudden, the person who can actually respond to these issues, if you will, are not in a position monetarily to be able to get elected. And then the only person who gets elected is the one who has the monetary piece, and then they get there, and then all of a sudden we got situations like we have today. And I'm not trying to take it away from those folks who got elected, but the fact of the matter, what we need today, if we need more homelessness in our city, then I tell you what, that's what we're going to be having this next time around. But today, I tell you, we've got a guy here with us right here. We got Stu, and we're just going to let Stu just go on. Let's just start off with the fact that here you were today. This is Wednesday, live, October number 11, if you will. Yeah. You just left City Hall, on an issue that's very, very important, that we as citizens are very, very interested in, and we want your response. So please, Stu, welcome aboard. Yeah.
Well, it's great to be here, Bruce. Thank you.
Well, tell us what you did.
Well,
let's start off with it.
So I'll go a little
First
backwards.
Yeah, a little background yourself.
So I've been an architect and a urban designer for about 30 years, and I've been working on homeless housing for my whole career. I designed daybreak shelters for women in domestic violence, day centers, overnight shelters, and permanent supportive housing and then I did some project out in Lentz for mostly homeless for NAIA.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working just recently on micro housing for homeless. It's a prefab, built in a factory, and I was doing that after the last campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I just came off of a bike ride on Sunday evening, and I went around through downtown and on the Central East Side and down part of the Springwater corridor, and I saw tents, and I saw more tents.
Oh,
there were tents everywhere.
Oh, still on Springwater?
This was there less tents. I went out there before all the sweeps, and there were more. But there's still people out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're sort of off to the side. They're not right.
Yeah.
And I didn't go all the way out to or out to the 82nd. I was just in in the Selwood area.
Okay.
And and I talked to about 4 different groups of people, and they're all good people. Had some bad things happen to them, and boy, I have too, and I get that. And some, we just got to get them into housing.
Yeah.
We can everyone said, well, let's get services, addiction, and some people have addiction issues, but you can't you can't think.
Yeah.
I mean, my hot water went out yesterday in the morning just for my shower. So I had a cold shower, and I was thinking, can you imagine no hot water, no cold water, no heat, no anything when you're waking up in a tent? If you're a woman, you know, chances of being raped are just really high. I just can't imagine. And they said, well, we're sleeping with one eye open, and they're getting stuff stolen, and they're living in fear all the time. So how do you advance in life and like get yourself together and get to do work, get a job or something like that if you're living in that condition? So we got to figure out how to, you know, some people need a little bit of help, not, you know, just to get back on their feet again. And to do that, it could be a tiny house. It doesn't need to be some, you know, big thing. It could be a tiny house. It could be it could even be a Airstream trailer or something.
It could be a small house, but you still need central facilities.
Yeah.
Like a kitchen, bathrooms, things like that.
Yeah.
If they can have that on the same lot and have a bunch of small houses, wouldn't that?
Yeah, that's fine. And I asked
any way you can do it.
anything.
Get them off the streets.
Just get off the streets and get some dignity in your life. I mean, there were, you know, I had some really good conversations with people, and I'm laying out a project for you know, for a site that has their little modular tiny houses, and they have a common dining room and some services, and then people maybe address their addiction issues if that is there, or you know, mental health issues. And a lot of people can get, you know, a certain period of time and then get back on their feet, and then they can go get a job and get into market rate housing. There's some people, obviously, the chronically homeless who have serious mental health issues. Well, as a civilized society, these guys should not be on our streets. I mean, we should take care of them. And I've seen that too, but there are different, obviously different levels of homeless.
Well, still, in all due respect, think about it. Share with the public here as to why you got involved. Like I said, you've had all this background and whatever, but again, you're citizens just like in every other, and you're seeing this situation. How and why did you get involved? When did you get involved in this situation? And then we'll go clean.
Well,
you got a passion for this stuff, and I want to make sure they understand what's going on here.
Well, I was after graduate school. I was in Portland, and then I went back east for graduate school. Then I went down to Los Angeles for a little while, and I worked on social housing and homeless housing in Santa Monica. And then I designed this 115 bed, sort of the first new SRO in Los Angeles in a generation. And it was we had a great client, Alice Callahan, a former nun, and we made a nice, it was, the rooms were spare, sort of monastic, but we had common rooms that, you know, common kitchen, everybody had a locker where they could keep their things for cooking. And we weren't just providing a room, but we were also providing a place where they could socialize and meet other people, and just that getting back. I mean, a lot of people who are homeless are, you know, very isolated. People, I heard this on Sunday, people, you know, don't talk to them. They think that, oh, you know, they're stay away. And you know, they're just like all of us. They just, you know, had a few bad things happen to them sometimes. And so I got, after those projects, especially the San Julian Hotel, I just got really excited about helping people who were in that. I met a lot of homeless down in LA, and then when I moved up to Portland, we had the issue here too. But I just feel
and you jumped into this business. I
did, because it feels right. You know, I feel like I had this teacher at Pratt Institute, African American teacher named Harry Simmons, who he was, you know, I was coming in kind of and from school, and he was my first professor, and he was designing affordable housing, and he just said, we were designing the units from, and he was a Brooklyn architect and great man, and I learned so much about him. He said, it's all about the people. We need to take care of, everybody needs to have housing. All the kids need to have housing. How does a student go to school and think about, you know, what they think about at school if they haven't been in a warm, safe, dry house at night with a nurturing family? And so housing is at the core of our society.
But then you
know,
jumped in, I know a lot of them. I want to make sure that people know this about you. Then you jumped into the public life aspect of it, of running for office.
Yeah, I heard that.
To get this issue on the table. When did you do that?
Well, when you did.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, but I've been doing it for a number of years like you. But the bottom line is that, I mean, we have that background, we have that expertise, but for some strange reason, there's a difficulty getting that message out.
You better clarify all this.
Yeah, well, first of all, the 2016 campaign was the first time I ever got near politics.
Okay,
I
good.
mean, but I've done a lot of work with City Hall, and a lot of my projects.
You were there.
I was there. A lot of my projects were with government, and a lot of the projects didn't happen at all. Some with communities of color, because there was some roadblock at City Hall. And every time, you know, there would be some, and I was going, boy, you know, if I were in there, I kind of know where the roadblocks are. And I said, maybe I could actually get some of those projects to happen. We had a big family housing project for communities of color that didn't happen, that could have happened. And so I'm saying, boy, if I get onto that other side, but I'm coming from the private sector.
Okay.
I mean, I want to get stuff done. I don't want to sit around and, you know, go.
You're not sitting in the back of the room now.
I don't want to go
now
sit,
all of a sudden you
and
jumped
go
up
to
and
dinners
said,
and
okay,
lunches
fine.
and all that stuff. I want to get some stuff done, and I think bringing private sector thinking into this realm and creative problem solving, and you know, I had that article about homelessness, and you know, if you put that, you know, our homeless challenge to a business, you know, some startup, some entrepreneur or something, and you said, hey, we've got 1,600 people unsheltered on our streets, and we've got the housing bond, and we've got this, and we have a whole community. Boy, you wouldn't believe it. Everybody's coming up and they say, hey, what can we do? I've got tools, and I can. And Benson's building tiny houses, and all we need is leadership. We need to get this all put together. And so back to the private businessman, they would say, okay, we got this and this and this, and this is our problem.
You can actually do it.
We can write the roadmap, and we want to pick a time, 2 years. Everyone said, well, you can't do it in 2 years. We need 10 years. We did it. We had a 10-year plan, and nothing happened. I mean, something happened. We certainly didn't solve the problem. I mean, private sector people would go out of business if they didn't solve the problem, and that's what we got to do. We got to think about top down.
Well, that's where you were, and that's why I was excited when I saw you that first time around. I said, well, here's a guy
fired up
that
about
was part of this deal, but he was behind the chairs just listening to what was going on, but he never had no input. So now all of a sudden you jumped up and said, I'm going to run for office, and you did, and I saw you, and you basically had the same tune.
I did.
You're not different. You're not different, but you're solid, and you know what you were talking about, okay?
Well,
so now you're here, now you're looking there. Hopefully you're going to be running again this time around.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm an expert in housing.
Yeah, I know
I mean,
that.
I've done housing, I've designed housing, I've helped develop housing, I've done modular, I've done prefab. I'm also looking at ways to make housing less expensive and make it better but less expensive, like building a factory or do, you know, the tiny house thing. Or
that's your training, that's your background.
I used to be a woodworker. I've built stuff.
That's your piece.
And I want to build. I want to get everybody off our street in 2 years.
Let's get it done, okay? I mean, seriously.
I mean, I'm not kidding.
I mean, no respect.
I mean, I'm tired of hearing like I was at City Hall and we're going to get 300 units of public permanent supportive housing with, and then another 300 units of 0 to 30. Well, we have all told the number is 4,000, and 600 we're going to maybe take care of. Well, what are we going to do with the other 3,400 people?
It's going to take some money.
We're going to get, it's going to take money, but then, you know, I go to... you
got to have some sort of a plan.
You got to have a little plan. And then I went out for coffee at 6:50 in the morning a couple weeks ago, and there's a friend of mine with his friend, and they're, you know, just beaming, and they're off to Habitat for Humanity, and he works in real estate during the day, and they're going to go build a house. And I said, wow, if we take like 3,000 people like that, and I tell you, people would come up to me, and I think we could do it if we had leadership.
But they need a spokesman in that arena, if you will, that can take it to the table and come up with
So it's not like just putting government money in.
No, that's right.
You know, the community wants, I mean, I've heard this from
Yeah,
every corner of
been
the
there.
city,
I've been
and
there.
people are willing to volunteer,
I've been
and we could get construction companies, we can get suppliers in there to give us at-cost material. I mean, if we had leadership, we could put this all together.
You need the right plan for you got to have a leadership for the plan.
So I try to,
understand?
in all
Yeah,
my
this is
610 words
Yeah,
for this,
this
I
is
try
good.
to start out
Good article.
a plan for that, and then that could get built out a little bit. But
Okay.
it is absolutely doable.
Okay. Well, share a
Yeah.
little bit more. 'Cause, that's why we wanted you to get here. One, again, as a taxpayer, and then the possibility you've run
Yeah.
before, and maybe the possibility you're thinking about running this time around. If the timing is right, I'm encouraging you to do that.
Thanks.
Because you need to get there at the table to talk about this stuff. The key is that we got to try to educate the public out there because they're not as sophisticated. You got me? They weren't at that meeting that you were at, see, and that's why we got you here to talk about this situation. Okay? It's very, very important that we educate those folks about why we need to do it this way. Okay? So share with us, what did you see in the meeting from the standpoint of, are the people who are responsible enough, who are supposed to know what to do to generate the plan, do they know about how to generate this plan that you're talking about?
No.
Wow, why? What did you hear? What did you see?
It's just not in their. It's not. Well, you'd say it's not in their wheelhouse. Putting together a mass mega project with the community, bringing in Benson students, bringing in. Wouldn't it be great to have all the students from all these different schools together, and PCC students and college students and architecture students, and then bring the architecture firms in to design this. We're the post-Trump era. There's been all this talk about division and everybody, getting into their corners and all that. And this kind of thing would be so healthy
And
right
we can
now.
do it in Portland.
Yeah.
We can do it in Portland.
Well, we
But
should
you
do
need-
it in Portland.
But they need someone on city council. Don't get me wrong. You got 5 individuals there. You got 4 city councilors and a mayor, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, there's nobody there that's expertise in the housing. Understand what I'm saying now? When you start talking about the housing aspect of it, because I know what your platform were when you ran the first time.
Well,
around.
this time it's
we need
housing.
to have someone. We need to have someone on that commission right up front with you.
Yeah.
That's able to articulate. Because otherwise, business is not going to come here.
Well,
they can't.
businesses.
Then it just becomes a commercial. People just coming in and flooding and say, "Give me a permit, I'll build anything." You get me?
Well, I mean, there are other parts of the homeless thing, the tent thing. I had a friend who was bringing Chinese investors for one of his projects, and they walked around downtown. They saw all the tents, and they said, "We're not going to do Portland."
Yeah.
So you got that going.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You've got and then it's just humanistically, it's terrible, and it's just bad for all of us. It's bad
it
for
is.
the whole
Yes, it
city.
is. Yeah.
It's sort of at the core of who we are. We cannot move forward until we get this problem solved. And
Well, tell me this.
In the
What
park
ca-
blocks, right?
yeah, but it's on and on. I mean, it's
Right.
all through.
Well, it's all over the place.
It's all over the
It's on
place.
Jansen Beach. I mean, we
Under,
got
under
problems
every
over there,
bridge.
and
Yeah.
nobody knows how
And
to talk
Jansen-
to. No, Jansen Beach. I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, I've got to now do something.
you'd be-
and I've been in housing too before. I built a senior citizen complex.
Yeah.
And I've rehabbed housing, home ownership type routine.
Right,
But
right.
all of a sudden, I was kind of like you. I was just kind of like sitting in the background. And I'm looking at this stuff, and then all of a
It's
sudden,
not
you throw
going
the
away.
ideas. And
It's
it's
not going away.
And I'm still looking for the leadership to take the ideas that I wasn't trying to hold them back.
Yeah.
I was saying, here it is. Go on, get it done.
And I get I'm not going to read the comments
No,
on
no,
this,
no.
but I get, you don't understand. You don't understand about heroin. You don't understand about alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I do understand about alcohol. I stopped drinking 17 years ago, so I know a lot about it. But I've got some personal experience with addiction, and I understand that we have challenges in that, but we got to get people in a safe, warm, and dry housing before we can apply services. I had a woman who I met out on the Springwater Corridor, and I've never seen anybody shoot up in front of me. She shot up in front of me, and she apologized. She's 32 years old or so. And she said, I never did this until I was out on the street, and I've got, I just am terrified, and I'm hooked. And now I know you're a Vietnam vet, so you probably know this statistic better than me. So I heard that, and see if I'm right, there were the people who came back from Vietnam, the ones who were doing heroin and were hooked on heroin. I heard that 95% of the people, once they got out of that environment and then back in with their family in a house and back into the States, that they got off of it. And there was 5% who were still, still.
Wow, that's
is that what it is?
amazing.
That's amazing. I would say that would be a little high, meaning that they got there initially, but then as time goes, they drifted a bit because of the situation. Now they if they go back to work.
Yeah, and I guess I just heard that. I guess the point is that once people get into an environment that's nurturing, maybe it's socially, you've got friends around you, like we did in the Hotel Simone. You're right. It sets it up where not everybody's going to go be able to do it, but it's a way better chance of doing it.
You're right. Well, look, let's get back to that. I'm thinking about this thing tonight. You went before City Hall.
Yeah,
okay.
I did.
One, what was your presentation, and what was the response to your presentation? Did you get any response from the folks who were sitting in those seats?
Yeah, I did. I talked about innovation.
Okay.
About if you can't. I mean, obviously, the status quo is not working.
Okay.
Because we've got 1,600 people on our street. We've got, a total of 4,000 homeless, the rest being in shelters. So obviously, status quo is not working. So then, back to the private business. What would they say? Well, we're probably not doing something right. Maybe we ought to try something different. And so maybe we ought to try something different for our housing. So bringing innovation in, and we ought to there are private sector people and high tech and whatever, and we've got a lot of really great people in this town, and we're not tapping into them. A lot of people want to help, but they don't know how to help because they're not being asked to help.
Well, they need someone to communicate with. If you don't have someone to be able to say, okay, fine, I'm ready to go, but
there are a lot of people ready to go.
But where's the plan? And then a lot of times,
right.
If you say, well, okay, fine, we can give you the plan, but they'll look at it from the standpoint of, from a monetary standpoint, they just develop it. They're just interested in the money. No, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? And if you've got individuals over here that are making the decision that have no background whatsoever in this arena, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to knock them. It's just the fact of the matter is we don't have in all due respect, someone with your kind of background that's actively saying, I don't mind working in the public sector first, you got me? And then you've got the private sector saying, okay, fine, I got someone I can communicate with, and we can get it done. It's very, very important that we get this done.
We need to get this done, and we can get this done. Los Angeles has 34,000 homeless.
Yes.
We have 4,000.
Yes.
Wow.
We have numbers that are achievable, and we have a community from our top business leaders to homeless people and everybody in between who want to do something.
Wow.
And so if we had a plan that philanthropists in town trusts or whatever, you name it. There are a lot of people, if they thought they could write a check and be part of the solution and say, okay, I'm going to go buy a couple of rooms, or I'm going to go buy the lounge, or I'm going to go buy a whole building, and maybe my name's on the door or something. I think if everyone saw that they're all part of this big solution, that we could, and go back to my friend. People are ready with their hammers and saws and whatever to go build housing, because it's a great community builder.
Let me share something with you. In fact, Richard will say he brought a little article here that I'm sure you'll get excited about. You get very. Why don't you share part of that? Share it with. Read it, Richard.
That's on October.
He's gonna read it to you.
All right.
Yesterday or whatever. You want me to read this?
Read it.
I don't need to read the whole thing.
No, yeah, but you get the. Go on.
From these people, said, we recently encountered a homeless family from California who said they were told to go to Portland because Portland takes care of the homeless. Isn't that wonderful? So
yeah,
numbers.
So I've heard about this, and I get a lot of questions about that, and I don't have all the statistics, but everybody I've talked to on my little Sunday bike ride, but in other times, some people were born here or had been here for 20 years or something. So yeah, we'll have some of that. And there's been a comment about, oh, well, if we make it too comfortable, everybody's just going to move to Portland. And in that homeless, or that project I did for NAIA, we had a screening process, this sort of double screen for Section 8 housing, but also for the residents. and we could have residency standards or whatever for. I mean, there are ways to, you know, we're not going to get perfection, and we shouldn't expect perfection. But there, you know, if you just moved into town and you want to get some housing, you know, there's a way to say, sorry, you have to be here for a year. And apparently we have data on a lot of the people who are living in our tents and under bridges, and so I hear this, and it's but I don't think it's as big a number as everybody is making out to be. And we can just say, yeah, you have to have been here a year, and then, you know, you got to if you're able to work, we'll get you all, you know, get you together, and if there's some services, if you have addiction issues, and then let's move on. The whole idea is to not, and we have shelters and then also permanent supportive housing, but we have, you know, we want to get people moving through those shelters and into market rate housing.
Right.
You know?
I just wanted to, you said NAYA a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think that means Native American Youth Association.
Yeah, it's Native American Youth and Family Center.
Yeah.
And I've been, I had an old friend who we worked together in Santa Monica doing homeless housing, and Ray Espana, and he was head of community and community development and housing at NAYA, and I designed their first housing project. I master planned their whole, and I loved what they did. I mean, they started with young women in domestic violence situations and women in domestic violence, and then they started tutoring youth after school down in the basement on Mississippi when they were in that building. Yeah. And then they moved to their big building up the former school and started a high school for you know, there are a lot of Native kids, or, you know, the statistics are, you know, there's a lot of issues with that community, and they you know, and also just identifying themselves as Native, and going into Portland public schools, they, you know, they were a lot of them were falling behind, and so NAYA is a great organization to, you know, and we, you know, I had the two young women in my little housing project. This is where it all comes home for me, and this is why I do what I do. So there's two, one was homeless with her mother. She's now she was making dragons at Benson High School and doing great at school and happy, and she could take the train to school every day. We got her housed and safe, warm, and dry. And downstairs there was another young woman who went to NAYA. She, you know, there had some issues at school. Settled down into the NAYA High School, and now she's going to Portland Community College, living with her grandparents in this housing facility. Both of them are now, you know, going into getting educated and going into you know, get a life that has a lot of hope to it, and that's what it's all about.
Well, you know, another thing I want to throw out on the table.
Nice.
Another thing I want to throw out on the table, and this is active now, for that matter. It has been said that now California now is going to be a sanctuary city state.
I think it already is.
It is. And we're next. And I guess the point I'm making is that here is an opportunity to go on and really solve some of the problems, major problems that we have here in our city, in the state of Oregon, before we all of a sudden we're going to have to address that issue. Because when you define that, I mean, it's a big issue, if you will, and many of those homes that you're thinking about, if all of a sudden we become in that same, we're having some of that same problem, will take away, if you will, from that Oregonian that's sitting here right now, that's on the streets. And I'm not trying to knock out what they're talking about. I mean, they've got an effort talking about citizenship and this, that, and the other. But all of the definition of what we, the public, have been defined to as far as what is a sanctuary city. I'm sitting there saying that could just really put a wrench in the program. Understand where I'm coming from?
I do.
And I'm not trying to knock it. That's another issue.
No, I know. I know it's another issue.
But I had to throw it on the table.
Yeah. Again, I think most people who would be in that boat are really hardworking. And I did a big project in Rockwood, and probably not everybody was had papers, and but I ran into some really great, tight family groups, and they they were pretty hardworking.
Now,
So
I'm agreeing
yeah.
with you, but at the same time, I'm saying now we got to take care of home first. Don't get me wrong. We got Oregonians that are out there in those streets, and my point is that if and I'm saying at the point, take them off the street and let's vet them. Let's find out who is on the street.
I haven't
You see what I'm
looked
saying?
at, there is data on I just found out there's data on people who, the makeup of the people on the street, and I haven't seen it because
Wow.
it's pretty confidential, but I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I think that
We need to know. I mean,
things like people coming in from California or people undocumented, I think those are probably really small percentages of this population. That would be my guess. I think that these are, I think obviously addiction with drugs and all that is a big number. Domestic violence is a really big number. Veterans used to,
Oh, yeah, well,
and
it's
by the
kinda
way,
silly, isn't it?
I heard from somebody who works at one of the agencies, when we thought all the veterans Oregon was way out or Portland was way out in front, got all the veterans housed. Well, their veterans are going into their shelter.
Yep.
Or going to their services. So so we haven't housed every veteran yet.
No,
And-
that's true. That's
No.
one of the reasons why
And
I'm existing.
can you after fighting for your country
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean that's just wrong.
See, and I guess the thing I'm doing was to, again, we've all heard about the logoing or the branding, fake news. You got me? All due respect,
This is not fake news.
Yes,
this is the real.
I want the real stuff now. You got my point?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear about the data and that's right there, but in all due respect, I'm still seeing a whole bunch of folks out there that are sitting out in the street throwing stuff all over the goddamn place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying, and I'm looking at the so-called Northeast Portland. I can remember when I came to town as a Marine, and I got a Marine Corps, and someone said, "Where's the black community?" I said, "Where's the black community?" They said, "Over there." Well, where's the address? It was
What's the
Northeast Portland. Well, that's a whole bunch of Northeast Portland aspect of it. And so I spent my time when I was at the Observer putting an address. It's called District 18, and now all of a sudden it's being gentrified.
Yeah, I know.
And then all of a sudden
I know.
it's being
That's
gentrified because
old.
a lot of folks don't have any work. And I'll be right up front with you when this whole issue about the immigration piece came up. In all
Yeah.
due respect,
Yeah.
a lot of those folks, in all due respect, that were undocumented workers, were taking jobs in construction industry, because I was working in the construction industry,
Yeah.
taking jobs, if you will, from the blacks.
Okay.
And then those guys were just basically going to the criminal justice system.
Okay.
So I'm just saying I'm reacting to that point from the standpoint of saying the same thing here. I'm being very selfish and being very conservative. Look here, I can't really help this other person until I help my own first. I'm an Oregonian now, and I'm being very specific. I'm very sensitive and very concerned about the issue, but I got to take care of my situation first. I can't. The housing is fantastic, but I want to make sure. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's almost like Tom McCall. Remember Tom McCall?
Yeah.
When Tom said,
that's the
what
reason
did
I
Tom
moved out
McCall
here,
say?
because of Tom
He
McCall.
said, "Visit but don't stay."
Okay.
And in all due
Oh,
respect, then Vic came over and took the sign down.
That would
when
apply.
I said visit, it's not being anti anything, because this is America aspect of it.
Yeah.
But we did have a system at once. I'm not going to jump on the other end of it. But all I'm just trying to say is that, and maybe even don't understand, but I'm very sincere about that. I'm 79 years old. We're older than you are, aspect of it. And like someone told me one day,
I thought you were 52.
Oh, that's right. I'm a millennium senior.
I thought you were.
We're millennium seniors aspect of it. But the
Yeah.
point of the matter is, someone told me, he said, "Bruce, when are you going to retire?"
Yeah, Bruce,
You
when are
just
you
don't
going to
know.
retire?
You don't know how to retire.
That's
Well, I
right.
can't retire because I can't. My wife can't go to the store at night. She can't go and get bread and milk aspect of it. I've got to take her to places. I have to personally.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, I don't. You know, being a Marine, I don't carry as much as I should be carrying, but I don't, because I know how to take care of myself.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I can't enjoy. I can't go down to City Hall, if you will, and sit down, because I've got young people that are sitting out there that they needing jobs. Folks are needing jobs. People on the street needing jobs.
Well,
Panhandling all over the place. So I want to know what's going. I want to solve the problem, and that's why we have you today. We want you to solve this housing problem.
Yeah,
Well,
all by yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it all by it's
No, but you got that support.
It's
I mean,
you know,
you need a
it's
plan.
amazing. You got to have a plan.
Gotta have
It's
a plan.
amazing how many people want to come out. And let me just go on to this job.
Good
thing.
on, good on, okay.
Just a couple things on construction jobs. So I was at a modular conference, and they said the average age for the construction worker was 52 years old.
That's right.
And the average age for the construction superintendent is 58. 52 for an average. And okay, then let's go back to our schools. Let's go to Benson. Let's go to all of our schools that don't have shops or the CTE
No voc
programs,
ed, my friend.
And I,
Across the board.
I got through high school with.
I was in voc ed.
I got through high school with woodworking.
Yep.
And I believe
metalwork.
and you were metalworking.
Yep.
And I believe in that. It's
Yep.
not just career training, but it's just good for just general education as well. And we have taken all those shops out of our schools.
Why? The leadership. It's leadership. The people that are sitting.
So
on
we
those
have
boards.
we have some shops at Benson. I love the shops at Benson. They're antiquated. I mean, people are working on metalworking machines.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't we get Portland PCC or why don't we get more partnering with our businesses to our schools? We can train our students. They can go into the construction industry. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. It's
Trade
great.
organization. You got
Yeah.
trade. You got
And
union members that are
nothing-
waiting, sitting down there retired,
I mean-
waiting to volunteer to do that kind of work.
So I did a book for City Hall about raising all the graduation rates for the last mayor that was going to be the education mayor, and I spent a lot of time getting this book and how the city could help coordinate communities of faith and nonprofits and schools and businesses.
Yeah, which one was it? Charlie
Well,
Hale?
yeah, it was Charlie Hales. And so he said I was going to be an education mayor. So, okay, so I made this book called 80% in 4 years. Now, 80%, we were, I don't know what we were, like 58% graduation rate, which is 58%. What? Can you imagine that? That's like 42% of our kids are not graduating from high
right,
school.
that's
I mean,
right.
that is a formula
right.
for
Dropping out.
That's right.
That's a
everything else.
formula for
right.
disaster.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And so I said, okay, let's get to 80%. Should be 95% or 97%. And I made a book for Mayor Hales, and I gave it, and I think it ended up in the dumpster in the back after I left. And City Hall can absolutely do things like it's connecting dots and building and getting businesses together with our schools, and that goes back into the construction. And if we do this housing program, I'm not suggesting we go find billions of dollars of public money. I think there are ways to, with lower unit cost and some philanthropy dollars and some other, we need a plan.
Need a plan.
Need a plan for
and
funding.
We also need a plan, and all due respect, we need a plan with the county commissioner too. Because in all due respect, it's kind of interesting. The county has to work with the city to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And so there might be somebody that might be interested.
Oh,
in
is that right?
position.
I
That's
wonder
right.
who that would be.
That's right. You're looking at this guy right now.
Who, that guy over there?
I'm seriously looking at it
Yeah.
because, like you,
Yeah.
I've been going before folks. I've done things. I've lost money. I mean, I could have been in the private sector aspect of it, but no, I'm very public oriented, just like yourself. You don't make money when you're up there.
Yeah, I
sitting up there.
noticed.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You got me? No,
Yeah.
it's a frustrating situation.
Yeah.
But it has to happen. I want to enjoy some of my retirement time.
When's your retirement going to start,
Yeah.
Bruce?
Hey,
right.
see, I think I'm gonna be reincarnated. I'm a reincarnated kind of a guy anyway. But the
You know,
fact of
some
it is,
people just.
I want to get.
How's your golf?
Oh.
This is
So
what
I-
I'd do if I was retired.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, I know. I mean,
Exactly.
every
That's
time
what
I
women
play
like.
golf, my golf balls end up in
Oh,
the
yes.
parking lot. I
Well,
mean,
mine drops
I'm not
right-
going to
Mine
retire.
drops right on the green.
Yeah.
But no, on the serious side,
Yeah.
no, we want to continue on and talk about what you were doing at City Hall. I mean,
Okay.
I really.
So I talked about innovation. I talked about speeding things up. I mean, our little project, 9 units took. I mean, we did modular, so that was a little faster. But the whole project with the funding cycles and everything, I mean, we were, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. That's too darn long. I mean, people can't be on the street. So so it suggested, through the request for proposal process and. I mean, I've been working with these proposals my whole life,
know, yeah.
and I've been working with the Bureau of Development Services, and so I said, well, let's, and I talked, and Chloe, Commissioner Udaly mentioned that they were working on that, and that's great. But, if you're doing affordable housing like this kind of thing for our homeless, they ought to just walk right through the Building and Development Services, take a concierge and say, okay, 1 week we're going to have a building permit for you guys, 1 week. And then the other thing I talked about was this, this was, today was all about approving this,
Jesus,
all of,
Jesus.
here we go.
Oh.
This was the Portland Housing
Oh.
Bond Policy Framework that
my
took,
God.
you know, it's October 2nd, and this was started in, when was this started? Like 9 months ago or something.
That's about an inch
Well,
thick.
Well, it's not quite an inch, but yeah. I did
Right
it.
up there.
I printed it on thin paper too.
Jesus Christ.
So we did that, and then we're going to do proposals, and then we're going to do that, and you know, and I know we want to get community, but there's got to be a sense of urgency here, you know.
Yeah.
Who on the city council do you think should be replaced?
Oh boy.
Well, not replace, you add it on. That's where he's at.
All
See,
right,
we
either way.
happen to have 2 slots that are sitting available. No
Well, there's
disrespect.
one. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
well, there's
well,
2 slots.
well, Dan Saltzman is he's not
Leaving.
running. He's
Right,
leaving.
right,
Yeah.
Right.
So we know that.
Nick's one of the nicest guys I know, but I'm still advising him. Hey man, look here, you paid your dues. You know what I mean? Spend the time with your family. You don't sit up there and stress yourself out and get into this medical situation that he's in. I mean, really, he's a beautiful guy. But in all due respect, we're in a dire need right now, aspect of it. And I'm just saying, if you can, be a part, if you will, of picking a replacement, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, Nick's
When
a
I
friend
say-
of mine,
Well,
and,
but
you
I'm
know,
just saying, when I
yeah.
say pick a, he could still be involved. I'm just
yeah.
saying, he could pretty well join us, and we can just sit down and talk and kind of give some, make sure we got the issue on the table. But he doesn't need that stress at this point. That's just my opinion. Okay, nice guy. Now, if he wants to do it, that's fine. But understand, that's where I'm at. I'm talking to right now. I'm saying we need someone on the city council, in all due respect, and in the county, that has some idea of what housing and has the experience. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to knock the rest of my point. So then when they get around the table and start discussing housing, they've got a point person they can say, okay, fine, you lead the charge. And they don't have that right now.
Yeah, and it's not just the housing experience; it's the private sector experience, and just taking.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And and you don't take no for an answer.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you do the private sector does some. Look at what some of our startup entrepreneurs do. I mean, Elon Musk, or the list goes long. I'm sure they had naysayers and people said, you're crazy, man. You're going to go build a electric car in California.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kidding me. But there are examples upon examples upon examples where everyone said it'll never happen, and it did happen.
But they need someone,
and that's
that
what
they
we
can
need.
communicate.
That's what we need in City Hall.
But they need a spokesperson. See, because no one is there to put the plan together. See, and this is not taken away from them. It's just that, hey, look, they've got this person has a certain expertise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have a housing expertise or somebody that has some background enough to be able to talk about this.
This
consultants.
So we're going to do all this, and this will take what? 4 years, 3 years
I've
to
seen
build
that.
stuff,
Hey.
and then after that, if our numbers, if there's no change,
Right.
we're going to still have 3,400 homeless in our town after we've spent $258 million of taxpayer money, and we can't wait. The people on the street cannot wait.
No, you can't.
We have. We're every day people are on the street. They are.
Insulting.
It gets worse. Our people, our retailers downtown
Yeah.
are it's just.
Yeah,
We
they put up with a lot.
So okay, we do 600. Then what? Do we pass another one in 4 years, and then we pass? I mean, we'll be out till. I mean, you and I might even be old by then.
Oh.
And I mean, 2 years. 2 years, not 20 years.
Well, a good example of that is, guess what? They call it the I-5. Remember the bridge up there? Remember
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
How many millions did we spend on that in consultants?
Oh,
do
yeah.
we have a bridge today? Imagine
170
the
million.
frustration when you get on there trying to get across the bridge.
I've done that.
Or even not just
I
going home.
I was going the wrong way.
Oh, you understand what I'm
You're
saying?
going the right way.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
See, so the same thing exists here. You got my point? We need someone that can communicate, if you will, to the private sector, and that the public sector, the public, which is the masses, can understand, because this person can articulate the rationale as to why we're doing it this way. Mm-hmm. And that's what we don't have. We need both. You understand what I'm saying? We need the private sector to get it done.
Okay. Yeah,
And we need
that's
the
right.
public to understand the rationale and what it's going to cost them, and the benefit it's going to have as a result of that.
That's right.
That's what we don't have.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have, I don't know where our number is, it was about 26,000 who were distressed home renters, and I might have that number a little off, but it's probably pretty close. And this thing is going to be 1,300 units, this was a heavy lift, $258 million for the, I mean, people are really, you know, they're seniors on fixed incomes who
Yeah.
are, I mean,
Remember that school bond we just passed? Remember that one?
yeah, I do.
What is
Yeah, and so,
Los Angeles? What do they do with what, 34,000 you said? Or?
well, I mean, it's not good news, but I don't know where you start with 34,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
it must
with,
be all over.
they are all over, and Portland or LA is a lot bigger than we are, but they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But that number is crazy, and 4,000 is not crazy. 4,000 is an achievable number, and I think if we go get some of our smart, you know, CEOs who, boy,
They're here.
they would love to help.
Yeah,
I know
they're
they would.
here. They're
And
here.
I've got a couple retired CEOs who started their own business, and they, you know, they're amazingly smart and
Yeah.
they're great problem solvers.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. This happened in Salt Lake. They brought a business oriented person from the private sector into Salt Lake and said, and he just, you know, he said, oh, these homeless are just, you know, and then he started talking to him like I've been talking to him. And he said, you know, there are a lot of good people out here who just had some bad stuff happen, especially in the recession. And so he crafted a plan. He said, okay, this is my problem. This is how many people I need to house. And he talked to business leaders and nonprofits and whatever, and he made a plan. And it worked. So,
In fact, I'm looking, excuse the French, but I'm looking at the cover.
is that French? That's
Yeah.
English, I think.
I'm
Bruce.
looking at the cover,
Yeah,
and I'm looking at the photo.
yeah.
Give us a shot, Tim, on this piece. Can you see this? Check this out, this cover. I want you to put this cover page on the deal here. I got a point I want to make to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what the situation is here. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay, you're just about there.
You got it? You got it? See that? See now, you see the cover?
Okay.
That was the same cover that was thrown on the table about the minority community. They had an issue about, i.e., assimilation in the job market, in the business market, in the small business market aspect of it. Okay, and they had a plan. The businesses folks had a plan, designed, if you will, to create more jobs,
Yeah.
not more contracts, but jobs first.
Yeah.
Okay, I testified on that same deal.
Yeah.
And they came out with the consultants, and they put all the photos up there,
Yeah.
and they said, we're going to call it affirmative action, and you don't have to worry about a skill to be a contractor or a subcontractor. All you have to do is be one of the groups, minority. What do we have today?
I think we need to have more minority businesses in town. That's
We
what-
need, I agree, we need businesses who happen to be minorities.
Yeah, that's the well,
That's the bottom line, and there's way. I mean, business. When you start talking about business, it's called risks. You got to take risks. But my point is that was at the table, but that's not the way they were selling it. And I'm not trying to knock this. I happen to be who I am. I'm a very independent kind of a guy.
I know you are.
Very
I
independent.
know you are.
And you know, and sure, I've been successful in my own right, but it cost me. It cost me dearly.
Yeah.
I could have done a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm, in all due respect, I'm saying this to the public from the standpoint that this is exactly what that's what I saw in you when you first ran for office. You came from that sector over there, and all of a sudden, and then you're back at the table again.
I am.
And I'm
I'm
sitting
back.
there saying, if you wasn't at the table, one, I wouldn't have invited you because no one else over there could.
It's a nice looking table you got here, Bruce.
Because the key is that we do need housing,
Nice
and I'm just saying
tablecloth.
we need if you will, as you say, small business for business. Look who's one of the largest contractors and builders right now on MLK.
Yeah, I
COVID,
know.
right?
I know. It's
Got me?
Colas. I know. I
You
know
understand?
Andrew, and I
Okay,
know
you understand?
Herman. Yeah.
And then I noticed that in the Portland Observer the other day,
yeah.
there was a front page of one of his sons who just picked up a contract with Metro
Yeah.
to do the whole remodel, $30-some odd million.
Yeah.
And he beat out Walsh and Hoffman. Not beat out, but he competed against these two guys, and he won the contract.
Well, it's a big name.
And then in that little article, it said there were some minority organizations that were anti him for getting the job. So my point is that if we're going to start a new run now, I'm saying, hey, look, there are folks out there that's got expertise, that are colors, that like this. Let not them be minorities, just let them be business folks. But the way you start in that kind of a business, you got to start knowing what a trade is. So if you get on a job, you have, if there's 5 trades that have to be identified with that job,
Yeah.
you got to at least identify with one.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah,
And that's available. So as you were saying about the voc ed stuff aspect of it,
starts
this,
in
that, and the other,
schools.
you got to
Starts
start in
in
the
schools.
schools. Start in the schools.
Can I give you another quick example? I did a project.
you.
I did a project for Portland Development Commission on MLK and Fremont for the African American community, and Sharon Maxwell was my partner in that project, and it didn't get built. That's a long. It should have. It was a big community restaurant, but part of that project and part of my proposal was, they said, hey, you've got to have whatever 18% minority participation on your team. And I went through the list and I was having trouble, and I said, hey, wait a minute, why don't we do a program through our project and open it up to Jefferson and Benson High School kids, and they can come through they can come into my office and see how we start a project, how we do the drawings for the project. They can go through the whole construction process, and maybe we'll get some people really turned on to construction or architecture or engineering or mechanical engineering. And PDC said, no, we don't do that sort of thing. I said, what do you mean you don't do that sort of thing? I said, well, we just work with existing businesses. I said, well, why don't we grow businesses? So here we are in 2017, and I'll bet you if we had done that, there would probably be some of those kids would have been out in businesses right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long.
Well, guess
and
what?
all you have to do is light them up, and
Now we got an area.
we had this project that was just one little project. We could do it for all the projects in this could do that.
And we could have still been an established District 18. Now people look back and just sit on the side and say, well, it's being gentrified. Who's standing up? And so my point is that we have the opportunity. Like I said, I'm not trying to knock California, but they're going to have their own, i.e., sanctuary city aspect of it.
Yeah.
And folks are maybe going to be going over there for quite some time because of the benefits and whatever. But guess what? We got Oregon right here. We got a project here that we might be able to do something.
There's going to be a lot. They're going to be between our school bond, but there are going to be a lot of housing projects, and these things ought to get out on the street like right away.
Right.
The sooner the better.
And then the definition of home ownership, that's the other thing too.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, like I say, we're providing houses for the homeless, but in all of that American dream of